1991, and Nintendo releases their Super Nintendo Entertainment System along with their seminal title Super Mario World. Not to be outdone, Sega releases Sonic the Hedgehog to the masses, and the beginnings of the console wars start to take shape. Back in the arcades, Capcom is busy redefining the industry with its release of Street Fighter II, inspiring other developers to create their own fighting game franchises, leading to the fighting game boom that dominated the 90s. During this time, Konami releases their run-and-gun shoot-'em-up Sunset Riders into arcades. Sunset Riders is Konami's unique take on the American Old West with its various colorful characters and locales. The game's cast centered around 4 main characters out in search of rewards offered for the heads of various boss characters. The game came in one of 2 distinct variations, a 2-player and a 4-player stand-up cabinet, allowing 3 of your friends to join in and live out their cowboy fantasies. The 4 characters are split into 2 distinct classes. Steve and Billy carry peacemakers, which allow for a high rate of fire, while Bob and Cormano are equipped with shotguns, which, while not as fast, provide for a wider range of fire. The game stands out for its vibrant use of color to define the players and the world, along with its sense of humor. The game used an 8-way joystick to control your character along with 2 buttons, one dedicated for jumping and the other for shooting. The player had access to an unlimited supply of ammunition, and each weapon had the ability to be upgraded with items throughout the game. Collecting a silver badge provided the player with an additional weapon for their offhand, and collecting a gold badge allowed for a rapid-fire option by holding down the fire button. There are various items available for pickup during gameplay, including piles of gold and roasted chickens, a common item in games of this style. You also had the ability to pick up sticks of dynamite thrown by enemies and use them against them, provided you did so in the allotted time. Sunset Riders consisted of 8 stages, with the player's goal to reach the end of each stage and defeat the boss to gain the reward on their head. As the difficulty of each boss increases, so does the reward offered. The player who does the most damage to each boss upon defeat is rewarded the full bounty to add to their point total. Konami added a number of features to keep the action from becoming stagnant. There were several bonus stages that were played from a first-person perspective. The players could enter buildings throughout the game to receive power-ups, and on occasion be greeted with a kiss from the local dancers. The action was also mixed up with the inclusion of various segments that took place on horseback. Sunset Riders was quite successful in the arcades, and 2 years later, in 1993, it was ported to the home consoles of the time, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, and the Super Nintendo. The version for the Sega Genesis Mega Drive was released first, and had the most drastic changes from its original arcade counterparts. The character roster was stripped down from 4 to only 2, leaving Steve and Bob out of this home adventure. The remaining characters were also given last names in the process, Billy Cool and Cormano Wild. Of the original game's 8 bosses, only 4 were featured in the Genesis Mega Drive port, with some bosses getting stage changes. The arcade's bonus stage was also replaced with a new bonus stage that had the player on horseback chasing after a wagon. This stage was hidden within each level and could be accessed by collecting a star-shaped item. One feature present in the Genesis Mega Drive port was the inclusion of a dual mode. This allowed 2 players to go head-to-head in a best-of-3 shootout. The Super Nintendo version of the game had only minor differences from the original arcade release. This port included all 8 of the original stages and added the slide function to a dedicated button on the joypad. Other changes included the dancer girls dressing more conservative, along with some missing Native American enemies that were featured in the arcade release. Sunset Riders was and continues to be a popular title that can still be found today at various game centers. This is one title that you should definitely have your sights set on.